'Tis the season, the most wonderful time of the year. Celebration with friends and family. It's time to pay tribute to this jolly month. So join us as we get into the Christmas spirit. You've heard of Elf on the Shelf, but this is Venom on the Shelf.
Merry Christmas, everybody! It's the second greatest time of year behind Halloween, of course, so what better way to celebrate it than looking at the greatest Christmas movie ever made? Hey, it's Die Hard, it counts. Look, Christmas, 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 Christmas.
It's Christmas, Theo.
See, it's a Christmas movie, it counts. John McClane, played by Bruce Willis, is a police officer who visits his wife in Los Angeles for the holidays, but shit gets real when a group of terrorists take over the office building, led by Hans Gruber, played by the late great Alan Rickman in his feature film debut. There's not really much else to explain, plot-wise, really.
I'm telling you, you're just gonna have to kill me. Okay.
Avada Kedavra.
In 1968, directed by Gordon Douglas, we got The Detective, a neo-noir crime movie starring Frank Sinatra based on the 1966 Richard Thorpe novel of the same name.
Aren't you forgetting something?
Due to its success, well, compared to this movie, the term success now seems somewhat dire.
Go fuck yourself.
Thorpe then wrote a sequel novel in 1979 entitled Nothing Lasts Forever. Another film adaptation was soon in the works, and since he appeared in the first one, the studio were under contract to cast Sinatra again, but he actually turned down the role.
You listen to me, you little asshole.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was then approached to make it a sequel to Commando, though those latter claims according to writer Stephen E. D'Souza were bogus, but Arnold also turned it down. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker! The role also went on to be offered to Sylvester Stallone, Harrison Ford, Richard Gere, Clint Eastwood, Robert De Niro, Michael Madsen, Rob Bohr, Richard Dean Anderson, Nick Nolte, Burt Reynolds, Tim Berenger, Bill Cosby. Let the hostages go or I'll roofie your wife. Mel Gibson, Al Pacino, James Caan, Charles Bronson and Don Johnson, all of whom declined.
No, thank you.
This was because the character was originally supposed to be another generic 80s super action star, but the director had grown bored with such characters and wanted John McClane to be more of an average guy who wasn't particularly happy with the person that he had become, just wanting to make a difference, and helps the hostages because he's unfortunate enough to be stuck in a situation he really doesn't want to be in.
That's great, John. Good job.
The studio reluctantly gave the role to Bruce Willis, who at the time only had a TV show and a flopped movie disaster to his name and was generally known as a comedic television actor. There was a time when Bruce Willis was primarily known as a comedic actor.
Son of a bitch.
The role of Hans Gruber, which ended up going to Alan Rickman, had actually been offered to Sam Neill, who rejected it. Don't move! They can't make a shitload of sequels if we don't move.
Thanks for the advice.
Amazingly, Alan Rickman himself almost passed out on the part as well. He had only just arrived in Hollywood and was reluctant to have his first ever role be a villain in an action movie, nearly turning down the part that made him into a star.
Yeah.
His wife Holly, see, even her name is Christmassy,
Merry Christmas!
was considered for Sally Field, Meryl Streep, Goldie Hawn, Diana Keaton and Glenn Close, but Bruce Willis refused all of them because he wanted Bonnie Bedelia, as he was a big fan of her work.
What idiot put you in charge?
Director John McTiernan originally turned down the script, calling it a nasty piece of work, but was eventually persuaded into taking on the project, confident that he could lighten up the film's darker edges.
Trust me.
D'Souza actually admitted that he had originally written the screenplay as if Hans Gruber was the protagonist. If he had planned the robbery and put it together, Bruce Willis would have just gone to the party and reconciled or not with his wife. You should sometimes think about looking at your movie through the point of view of the villain who is really doing the narrative.
Tell me you got that.
Willis was paid $5 million, which was actually an insane amount of money at the time for a pretty unheard of actor, and it turned him into a huge worldwide name as a result of it.
I can live with that.
The movie was released on July the 12th, 1988 in Los Angeles, California, earning a worldwide grand total of $140.7 million.
Holy shit.
It received mostly positive responses from critics like Mark Kermode, who called it an exciting setup of cowboys and Indians in the towering inferno.
He didn't bring me along for my charming personality.
Then it got not so nice reviews like Roger Ebert giving it 2 stars, stating,
But you can also see there, I think, one of the big weaknesses of the movie, and that's the idiotic behavior of the Los Angeles Police Department. There was one character in this movie, a deputy chief, whose actions are so stupid and so unmotivated and wrong-headed that finally he just brings the movie to a stop every time he opens his mouth. Bad writing. He always says the wrong thing. He understands nothing. And with a movie like this, once you start picking out the loopholes, and there are a lot of them, It doesn't matter how good the stunts or the special effects are, or even how good Bruce Willis is.
But he did admit to enjoying the sequels and soon changed his opinion.
Oh, Christ, he can fuck this whole thing up. What does he think he's doing?
The movie style of a lone hero fighting a shitload of enemies at once, picking them off single-handedly, became a huge trope, even using the title as a description for other action films. In 1992, Under Siege was dubbed Die Hard on a battleship, Passenger 52 was Die Hard on a plane, Speed was Die Hard on a bus, The Rock, not that one, was Die Hard on an island, Olympus Has Fallen, The White House Down was Die Hard in the White House, and even shows like Star Trek The Next Generation had episodes that were called Die Hard in Space.
You gotta believe me, there's nothing I could do.
The movie was always being improvised, the script going through constant changes as production went along. The scene where Willis and Rickman first meet was unrehearsed to maintain spontaneity. Bruce falling off a vent was a stunt that went wrong but stayed in the film. Rickman's fall at the end, that's his real reaction of fear. He was given a countdown but then intentionally let go prematurely, so the look on his face is genuine.
So that's what this is all about?
But you don't care about all that crap. All you really care about is what I think of the film. Who you kidding? It's fucking Die Hard!
Enough jokes.
What's not to love? It goes beyond a generic action film and gives us a likeable character. John is somewhat relatable. I don't mean we've all been hauled up inside an office building against armed thieves trying to fight our way out and save our wives. Not since the summer of '97 anyway.
I had an accident.
But the relatability comes with not liking yourself very much and trying to make a difference to amend your mistakes. It's an exaggeration of reality, but it's there, and Bruce, for the most part, does a great job.
Merry Christmas to you.
Alan Rickman is the highlight of the film for me and steals the show every time he's on screen. He says such amazing lines so casually and with incredible delivery and charisma.
Alas, your Mr. Takagi did not see it that way, so he won't be joining us for the rest of his life.
The action takes a while to get there, but once it does, it feels earned. Admittedly, the movie is over 2 hours long, so it can get quite long-winded at times for such an easy and simple plot, but the third act completely makes up for it. It may drag at times during the middle, but once it gets to the climax, you do not give a flying shit. Who can argue with awesome action and deaths like this?
You know, I'm putting my life on the line for you, pal.
This completely changed action movies entirely, made a start out of both lead actors, and definitely deserves all of its credentials. But I think a lot of people tend to overlook some of its problems. Calm down, okay? I love Die Hard. Die Hard is amazing. But I think we all just tend to forget and don't want to admit that it does have some stupid and bad moments in there too.
Everything here's okay.
I mean, I know it revolutionized the genre, but does that excuse the sheer amount of stereotypes and movie tropes that it has? Some of which, okay, sure, maybe the film was one of the originators, but a lot were done beforehand, and it seems people ignore the fact that it features the Spanish maid stereotype, the token black guy stereotype, the shifty Latino man stereotype, the rich Asian dude stereotype, the generic arsehole with the generic beard stereotype, the silent, strong martial artsy fighty man stereotype, the pussy with the ponytail stereotype, the action movie with the dramatic time limit stereotype. That's a cliche, not a stereotype, but don't ruin the pattern.
Right, let's do it.
The security guard distracted by watching some kind of sports game stereotype, the short Asian kung fu ass-kicking guy stereotype. Although, to its credit, it does reverse the real-life trope by having a black cop shoot someone else for no reason. Please don't unsubscribe.
Hunt that little shit down.
Some of the writing is also rather forced. First of all, they literally foreshadow later events within the first 90 seconds of the movie. The technology hasn't exactly aged very well either. Wow, touchscreen! Soon you'll be telling me that my career is so low I have to star in shitty British commercials for Virgin Media. Although Bruce's acting is quite good for the majority of the picture, there's times when he just looks completely drunk and is just stumbling around on set. Bruce also talks to himself an awful lot. Literally, the only reason is for the audience's benefit for exposition purposes. Don't get me wrong, I talk to myself all the time. But when you're trapped in a building with lives depending on you and you've got armed thieves attacking you that could be anywhere and you're trying to save the life of your wife, I think stealth comes first. I'll let it go though, because his acting here is incredible.
Any of these things ring a bell?
This dude's acting is just so bad. He moves like a fucking robot.
I promise I won't hurt you.
But that reminds me, I just gotta go get a drink real quick. I swear I am thirsty.
Something's wrong.
The main issue here is, why doesn't he just kill the hostages? This isn't specific just for Die Hard. It's evident in many action movies, but there is literally no reason for him to not kill these people. They give no ransom to the cops, they have no problem murdering people. Even when he finds out who Bruce's wife is later on, he still doesn't kill her. Is it to lure him out? Oh no, wait, it can't be, because even if he does put a bullet in her ass, Bruce won't know she's dead, so he'll still come looking for her. Okay, they eventually do give a ransom, but he's got no problem wiping out any other hostages in the meantime, so what difference would it make? Just slaughter them all. It's pretty much established that he's a douchebag and doesn't follow rules. John has been making his life miserable all night, so killing his wife would have been the perfect revenge, but he doesn't do it even when he has the chance. It does not make any sense. These are the dumbest criminals ever. So they have an awesome sequence on the rooftop as Bruce calls the police, and they clearly hear gunfire over the receiver. They're cops in LA, no less. They know what gunfire sounds like. Hey, California stereotype.
Why don't you wake up and smell what you shoveling?
So what do? They send one cop to just check it out. Yeah, they literally say, that's odd. Go give it a quick check, dude. Not only that, but they send one fat, useless cop. In fact, they send one fat, useless cop who accidentally shot someone already. And even when it's evident what's going on and the FBI and everyone shows up, they still try to debunk that it's a goddamn hostage situation.
All we know is that somebody shot your car up. It's probably the same silly son of a bitch you've been talking to on that radio.
Excuse me, sir. But what about the body that fell out the window?
Well, who knows? It's probably some stockbroker got depressed.
What more proof do you need, you assholes? Jesus Christ, this is the worst police force ever. Die Hard. I want this to not bother me. No, it doesn't. It's motherfucking Die Hard.
This is crazy. I don't have the authority.
This is acting. I don't have the talent.
They're shooting at him.
Really? Really? Okay, so Rickman and Willis meet, but our hero doesn't realise he's face to face with the antagonist, and the bad guy puts on a phony American accent. This was actually added in last minute because the writers wanted them to have a confrontation before the climax to build suspense, but when they discovered what a great American accent Rickman was capable of, they included it. My problem is, how does Bruce not recognise his voice?
Who the fuck is this?
You could argue that he does because he hands him a gun with no bullets in it, but that's not true. If he knew who he was, wouldn't he have shot him right away or threatened him or something? It goes completely against his character if that were the case. The bullet thing was to simply test the trust, but how the fuck does he not recognize his voice? An accent doesn't change the goddamn pitch and tempo of your goddamn voice. How stupid can he be?
You know what, Rob Bohr of Cinematic Venom? Quite frankly, I am sick and tired of you making fun of all of my favorite movies. So right now, I'm gonna do everybody a favor. I'm gonna blow you away, Rob Bohr of Cinematic Venom.
I'm not Rob. I'm Lucy. I do makeup tutorials.
Oh my god, my mistake. I am so sorry. My apologies.
You gotta be on fucking TV with that accent.
No, he, really shouldn't.
We're back in business.
What the hell was that?
We're back in business.
Bit of an intense dramatic turn, isn't it?
Hey Rob, do you want to go to the bar or something?
Figure we take out the terrorists, lose 20-25% of the hostages. Tops. I can live with that.
They really find it acceptable that they lost hostages? I don't care how many they lost and how many they saved. Any loss is a tragedy, you douchebags.
What the hell are you talking about, man?
I also find it weird that he struggles and bitches when he simply walks on glass barefoot, but in just a few movies' time, he gets flung through a fucking window at this velocity and just shrugs it off like he got a paper cut.
This is their idea of Christmas. I gotta be here for New Year's.
Is this guy having an orgasm?
Why not?
Bruce's wife Holly is clearly staring at Alan Rickman's ass here. Not that I can blame her.
I'm really gonna nail his ass now.
So the electricity is cut out at one point, which, one, is pretty pointless since the building has a backup generator that turns it right back on anyway.
It's very kind of you.
Two, they acknowledge that it will shut off the entire block's electricity, and yet the entire block remains on.
Go on.
And three, it's a plot point that this would cut out power to the vault, disallowing it access, but thanks to my Bay IMDb, this would not be the case and it would still remain fully operational.
Attention to every conceivable detail.
So there's an explosion on the rooftop, Michael Bay is fapping somewhere, and Bruce is held on by a water hose. That would not hold on. That the explosion and the fire would have basically exploded the hose and cut it in half, therefore snapping, they would have splat. Who gives a shit? It looked awesome.
Sorry about that.
Furthermore, it starts to slowly pull him out instead of, you know, dragging him out full force with rapid velocity like it would do. But who gives a shit? It looks awesome.
Get together, have a few laughs.
The fire sprinklers also have a delayed reaction and take forever to turn on. Just like my girlfriend.
What, are you embarrassed?
No. This limo driver is not knocking out anyone, especially a dude twice his size. Look at this twerp. He looks about 12 when we see him underage drinking. In fact, what's the point of his character anyway? He drops Bruce off and then kind of just chills out doing random things for the rest of the film. Must have been the easiest paycheck ever.
Come on, I got 50 bucks bet on them assholes.
And one of the bad guys even inexplicably comes back to life just for a really weirdly timed and random revisit to the aforementioned subplot where the cop shoots him dead. For a subplot conclusion that nobody gave a shit about. But who gives a shit because it's Die Hard?
Hit your heart on Channel 5.
Despite its problems, it's harmless fun, it has a lot of heart behind it, the character's likeable, the action's amazing, the comedy works, Alan Rickman and Bruce Willis are fantastic. It's an incredible action movie, and no matter how hard logic tries, Die Hard, it will never sever us.